Welcome to Sludge's weekly roundup. I'm your newsletter host, Josefa Velasquez. This roundup will include exclusive content for Sludge subscribers. We're hoping to bring you exclusive interviews with the people that shape and influence our policies and give you a behind-the-scenes look at how we come up with our stories and some of the stuff that was left on the cutting room floor that didn't make it into our copy. We're ad-free and we're really hoping to stay that way, but for that we need your help. Please become a member and subscribe to Sludge. If you like what we're doing, please share a link with your friends, family, neighbors, your barista, the guy who walks the dog. And we'd love your feedback. Tell us what you'd like to see. Tell us what you think we could improve on. So please reach out and email us at tips@readsludge.com, or you can email me, josefa@readsludge.com. Welcome to Sludge's weekly roundup. I'm your host, Josefa Velasquez, and we'll be bringing you exclusive content that's only for subscribers. We're hoping to have exclusive interviews and some of the behind-the-scenes things that didn't make it into our articles. We're ad-free, and we're very much hoping to stay that way. So please contribute and subscribe and send this to friends, family members, neighbors. But this week's topic is going to be something that is more obscure than Tuesday's news, but equally as important. It's redistricting. And to help me explain it, we have Sludge co-founder David Moore here. And David will be hopefully just trying to make me speak English when trying to describe this story.
So thanks, Josefa. We're going to be discussing your article from Monday on how ALEC, the group, is influencing redistricting efforts in state governments. I thought it was a great article because it made clear some of the complicated issues of how state governments affect the congressional districts and the process of which members of Congress are elected to represent us in D.C. And actually, the article brought to mind some statistics around voter turnout and participation in the electoral process. So the 2018 midterms are coming up in November, of course, but in 2014, there's actually a historic low in voter turnout, and the number was 36.4% of eligible voters. Only 36.4% turned out to vote in the 2014 midterms. And one sort of ballpark average across the 50 states was that that's only around 40% of registered voters who chose to participate. And even with all the political news flying around, a June 22nd poll by Gallup showed that only 56% of eligible voters were definitely claiming that they were ready to vote for the 2018 midterms. And so, of course, the natural question is, why is voter turnout so low? What is it that's such a disincentive and depressant factor in the process? And there's a lot of answers to that around electoral law. The one 2012 study called Non-Voters in America suggested that the plurality of 27% of non-voters were pessimists. They didn't know that their vote would have an impact and be able to really change the system. So then looking at the system, my question on your redistricting article is, my first question is, what did your reporting find on how this national effort by ALEC is affecting the state redistricting process?
Right. So stepping back a little bit. So ALEC is a group that helps connect the business sector and private companies to state legislators and helps create model legislation. So basically, what should legislation look like? And in that process, they've come up with a draft proposal that says we should be taking the power away from the judiciary and giving it back to the state legislatures to have them redraw their districts. And they're using that as a guise as a states' right issue. So during this last presidential cycle, you've seen a lot of states sort of scale back. And because Congress is sort of stuck at this place where they can't do anything, states are going in and doing things themselves, which is why we get to this point where redistricting is becoming a thing that individual states are doing.
Right.
So it's also important to note that redistricting isn't a partisan issue. A lot of people think, redistricting is something that Democrats want. It's sort of a balance of power. So when Republicans are in control, Democrats want redistricting it solved and these fair districts created. But when Democrats are in power, Republicans also want redistricting. So it's sort of this weird thing that crosses the political spectrum, which I don't think many things do.
Right. That's really interesting. So for your article, you interviewed Michael Lee, who is the Senior Redistricting Counsel at the Brennan Center for Justice, and he gave some quotes. What did he say about these issues?
So it was actually really fascinating, like see someone from the Brennan Center speak so sort of forcefully on something where, basically what Michael said is that like it's important to have these checks and balances be at the judicial level rather than the legislative level because legislatures are elected, which means people contribute to people's campaigns. And at the end of the day, that makes people more susceptible to influence from outside groups. There's a lot of these issues where you feel the need to, what's the word I'm trying to find, reimburse an organization for their, contributions. So if someone's willing to give you more money for your campaign, you're willing to, take extra meetings with them or something like that. So what the judiciary does is in most cases, they're not elected. And so they don't have to be influenced by outside groups. The judiciary also isn't lobbied, unlike state legislatures. So they are able to come up with a relatively impartial decision on redistricting cases where I think you have outside groups lobbying legislatures to come up with districts that are going to be more favorable to them and their outcome.
Right. That makes sense. So towards the end of the article, you include a state-by-state rundown where some of the hottest showdowns are happening over judicial appointments and the state congressional maps. But so for Sludge members and for readers watching this, what's the big picture takeaway that they should understand about redistricting and where it stands?
Right. So this sort of seems like something that is not very important right now. And I think ALEC has seized this moment because in less than 2 years, we have a census coming up. And what a census does is it calculates the amount of people that live in an area, and we base congressional districts off of that. So if it's now up to legislatures rather than the judiciary to come up with these districts, you could see states getting more congressional districts in the future. You could see them losing some. And it's also an issue where, you can have different parties ruling at this one critical moment in time that lasts 10 years. And, after the 2020 census, we don't see this again until 2030. So these districts will stick. And I think that's an important thing to realize is that like the ALEC is putting down the markers now to try to create something in the hopes that in 2020, they have more control over how redistricting occurs.
Right. That's really key. That makes sense. Well, thanks, Josefa. So everyone can check out the article at readsludge.com. And I'll note that Sludge is a new project, or scrappy investigative journalism outfit. And we're ad-free and independent, and we're hoping to stay that way. And for that, we rely on the support of our members who support our mission of independent journalism. So Sludge members donate $5 or more per month, and they have access to our member forums where they can chat directly with our reporters and get some of the behind the scenes on how our stories have come together and what other kinds of reporting topics people are interested in reading about. So hope you visit readsludge.com/join to sign up and see the membership rewards programs. You also get donors can receive invitations to events, and as well as for $50 you can get one of our last few Sludge mugs. The rest of the Sludge mugs are out the door, so we're down to our last batch of Sludge coffee mugs. And we really welcome questions and feedback from our readers. You can reach us anytime. You can email Josefa at readsludge.com, and I'm David at readsludge.com. So thanks so much for watching, and hope everyone forwards this week's awesome newsletter by Josefa and our team.
Yay!
Thanks, Josefa.
Thanks.